All right, so with the new Shelby GT500 out now, what other Mustang news do we have to look forward to? How about we just bring back the Mach 1? So if you haven't heard, Ford is bringing back the Mach 1. 2020 is the last year for the Mustang Bullitt. And to replace it, they're going to bring back the Mach 1 name. Now, the question is, what is the Mach 1 going to look like, and what kind of power and performance is it going to have? I have a few personal opinions on that, which I'm going to share with you in a few minutes. But first, we do have spy shots of them testing the new Mach 1. So here's what we have. The new Mach 1, they have partially camouflaged, because obviously it looks like they're going to build it off the existing Mustang, so you don't need to cover everything. First thing that stands out to me is the size of the wheels and tires. They're rather wide. So initially, I'm starting to think they are going after something that's going to handle well. Behind those wheels and tires, it's pretty easy to see a pretty big Brembo brake kit as well. So we have stopping power, we have wide tires, tells me handling. So we're off to a good start at least. We're off to a good start. Also, if you want to look at the back, this is something that stuck out to me almost immediately. It looks like it's running a new spoiler from the 2020 Shelby GT500. I don't know if that's exactly what it's off of, but that's what it looks like to me. Looks good. I like it. So we have bits and pieces from the Shelby, it looks like. We also are running quad tip exhaust. That's always a good thing. I love the way quad tip exhaust looks. We're going to go out on a limb and say it's probably an active exhaust system, probably similar to the GT500 or maybe the GT350, something like that. The front of the car doesn't really scream anything special. Obviously, they're trying to hide something in the corners there with the black camo, and maybe it's air ducting. It might be to cool down the brake system. That could be a thought of mine. So, not a whole lot to take in as far as visual aesthetics and stuff go. So basically, I think they're looking to do something to fill that gap now that the Bullitt's going to be out of the lineup. And personally, I think it's pretty much going to be a dressed up Bullitt. You know, the more I look at it, the more I'm really starting to believe that what's behind that solid black in the corners of the car is probably ducting for either the intake of the car or to cool down the brakes. But considering the positioning of it, I'm thinking maybe it's to help cool the brakes down. The front end also kind of gives me a resemblance of the GT350. As does the rear, because it kind of has that rear valance that the GT350 has. So the more I'm looking at this photo, the more I'm thinking this supposed Mach 1 prototype, it's sharing a lot of parts with the Shelby GT350. Now, as far as the performance of this car and where they're going to go with it, I really believe that it's going to be basically a redressed Bullitt. And what I mean by that is the Bullitt was kind of that bridge between the GT and the GT350. It got the magnetic ride, it handled better, it got 480 horsepower, which is a slight bump above the GT, and it just had a whole different appearance package to go along with it. Obviously, there was a lot of other suspension changes to help it handle better, but I feel like that's where this new Mach 1's going to go. You're going to get a bump in horsepower. Maybe you'll go from 480 to 500. But I don't think it's going to go any farther than that, because at that point, you're getting really close to the horsepower levels of the GT350. And they're not going to want to get to that point. I don't feel like, because if you do get to that point, then you're really at that crossroads of, do you buy the Mach 1 or the GT350? So I believe they're going to probably stay right around 500 horsepower. And I think it's going to handle better, much like the Bullitt. So that's at least my opinion on where they're going to go with this. I could be completely wrong. Just throwing that out there. I could be completely off base of where I'm guessing here. So something just dawned on me as I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking about the previous generation Mach 1. The new Edge Mach 1 that we had prior to this was essentially a redressed Cobra of the time. And I'm talking of the 01 Cobra, not the Terminator. The Mach 1 shared an extremely similar 4-valve engine that put out the same 320 horsepower as the Cobra did. The biggest difference was the Mach 1 had a solid axle and the Cobra had independent suspension. Now, since the Mach 1 was so close in performance to the Cobra of that time, why wouldn't they, or what would stop them from doing the same now? Originally, I didn't think that they would come close to a GT350's performance. But now that I think about it, what if this could be basically a slightly toned down version of the GT350? It obviously has a wide wheel and tire package to accommodate the handling, the Brembo brake kit to accommodate the stopping. It looks to be sharing a spoiler with the GT500, or maybe that's a GT350 spoiler that I'm just overlooking. That could very well be it too. And it looks like it has the GT350 rear valance. Quad tips, another brainstorm. And the front end looks like it has a very similar shape to a GT350. So, now that I'm re-looking at all these photos and rethinking this, maybe it will be a toned down version of the GT350. So now I'm wondering what the power output's going to be. I don't think it's going to hit, I don't think they're going to use the same motor, the 5.2 that's in the GT350. But if they increase the power of the Bullitt, say from 480 to 500, with some handling shared with the GT350, that might be where this Mach 1 fits in. Now, again, I could be totally off on that, but just looking at these photos again, trying to get an idea of the direction they're going with it, it could go either way. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, obviously, I want you to drop your comments and let me know what your opinions are on this, but I mean, it's very possible that it could be sharing a lot of components with the GT350. It's a tough call, but if it does share a lot of components with the GT350, like the previous Mach 1 that had an automatic where the Cobra didn't. So that could be that little bit of a bridge there too. Maybe this will get that 10-speed auto that the Shelby GT350 doesn't get. I don't know. That's just more me just brainstorming. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just putting pieces together as we get the photos. So anyway, that's all the rambling I'm going to do about it. You make your conclusion, drop your comments down below. Please drop a like on the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, as always, hit the subscribe button. If you already have, thank you so much. I do greatly appreciate your support, and I will catch you next time.